Yesterday we got two pretty big pieces of news. I wanted to make and upload a video going over it last night, but I was at the movie theater when the news broke and I didn't get home till like 10 o'clock my time, so I figured it would be better to just wait till today. Better late than never, right? Starting off with the piece of news that took place first, and this was to be expected, I feel like, by a lot of people. The Montreal Canadiens decided not to match the offer sheet Carolina signed Jesperi Kotkaniemi to. So Kotkaniemi is officially a member of the Carolina Hurricanes. It's the first successful offer sheet in the National Hockey League since Dustin Penner went from Anaheim to Edmonton in 2007, which is a long time. I wish they happened more often. And of course, by not matching the offer sheet, the Montreal Canadiens will receive Carolina's first and third round picks for the 2022 draft as compensation. And we also got some additional information. I'm not sure if it's 100% confirmed just yet, but I do feel like it's worth mentioning. Apparently the Carolina Hurricanes and Kotkaniemi's agent and his camp are already working towards an extension after this season because it is just a one-year deal he signed with in Carolina, and the reported number that has been floating around was in the $4 million range, which would be, I think, really good for Carolina because there was a lot of talk about how he's getting $6.1 million and then how his qualifying offer would have to start at $6.1 million next offseason. So if they do in fact work out an extension before next offseason and they can get Kotkaniemi around that $4 million mark, I think there's a much higher chance that he lives up to that contract than, lives up to being a $6 million plus player, right? So Jesperi Kotkaniemi is officially a member of the Carolina Hurricanes. I am happy for him because it did seem like, based off of all the reports, that he didn't want the Montreal Canadiens to match this offer sheet. He wanted a fresh start in Carolina, and if we're being honest, his style of play, his game is definitely going to fit in much better in the system that Rod Brind'Amour and the Carolina Hurricanes play. And when it comes to the Montreal Canadiens in this situation, I honestly don't think they made a bad decision here by not matching the offer sheet. Honestly, I feel like it was probably in their best interest to not match the offer sheet. It certainly did leave a big gaping hole at the center position. They had Nick Suzuki, and then what was their second line center going to be? Jake Evans, but we learned shortly after they didn't match the offer sheet. They went out and fixed that center problem right away, which is the perfect segue into our next piece of news. The Montreal Canadiens acquire centerman Christian Dvorak from the Arizona Coyotes in exchange for a conditional 2022 first round pick and a 2024 second round pick. The conditions on the pick are the Arizona Coyotes will receive the better of either Montreal's or Carolina's first round pick in the 2022 NHL draft, along with the Canadiens' second round pick in the 2024 draft, of course. And in the event that either the Carolina Hurricanes or the Montreal Canadiens pick ends up being in the top 10 of the 2022 NHL draft, then Montreal will send Arizona the worst of the two picks. So there is some top 10 protection there, which is definitely good to have that insurance. So by making this trade, the Montreal Canadiens got their second line center. They got the player who's going to play on the second line behind Nick Suzuki, and that is an upgrade over Jesperi Kotkaniemi, at least right now anyways. Christian Dvorak, I think we can all agree, is a better player than Kotkaniemi is right now. Could that change in the next year or two? It definitely could, but right now Dvorak is the better player. Some details about Christian Dvorak: he's 25 years old, has a cap hit of $4.5 million, and is signed for 4 more seasons, so he's under contract for the foreseeable future on a pretty reasonable cap hit. In terms of what he's done in his career thus far, he's had 4 seasons putting up 30 plus points. He's yet to hit the 40-point mark, and I have seen a lot of people bringing that up, saying Montreal gave up a first and a second for somebody who's never even had a 40-point season. And I got 2 things to say about that. One, he's been playing for the Arizona Coyotes. That's a team that has not had a good offense for a long time. They don't score a lot. They haven't in the past, 3-4 seasons. And for 2, if it hadn't been for the past 2 NHL seasons being cut short, Christian Dvorak more than likely would have already had 2 40-point seasons under his belt. He is a solid offensive player. I don't really think he's a guy who's going to completely drive a line, but going to Montreal, where he's most likely going to be playing with a speedy winger like Josh Anderson, maybe a guy like Brendan Gallagher as well, I don't really think he's going to have to. And a big bonus when it comes to Christian Dvorak is he's a really solid defensive centerman as well. He's not going to replace what Phillip Danault brought to the table for Montreal, but he's going to be better at that than Kotkaniemi, for example. I really do like this pickup for the Montreal Canadiens. He improves their team. They got better. Did they overpay a little bit by giving up a first and a second round pick? Maybe a little bit, but I really do like that those picks have top 10 protection on them. That definitely makes the chances of one of these picks coming back to bite Montreal a lot less likely, which is definitely a good thing. And for the Arizona Coyotes, I mean, they just continue to clean house. I think they got good value here for Christian Dvorak. They are absolutely stockpiling draft picks. They have a ridiculous amount amount over the next 2 drafts. Just go look at their cap friendly. It looks actually kind of stupid how many they have. And I honestly think that's a good direction for that team to be heading. Just completely cleaning house, giving yourself as many opportunities as possible to draft a superstar player, to draft an all-star player. So those are my thoughts on Jesperi Kotkaniemi officially becoming a member of the Carolina Hurricanes and the Montreal Canadiens acquiring centerman Christian Dvorak from the Arizona Coyotes. I'm really interested to hear your guys' thoughts on this, especially if you're a fan of the Montreal Canadiens. How do you feel about losing Jesperi Kotkaniemi, the 3rd overall pick from the 2018 draft? And also, how do you feel about acquiring Christian Dvorak and what you gave up to bring him in? It was nice to get a flurry of news like this, considering how dead the offseason has been for a little while. I imagine it's going to go back to being, pretty dead when it comes to news for the next couple of weeks leading up to the preseason. But every day that goes by, the season just keeps getting closer and closer. I'm extremely excited. I feel like this offseason has honestly went by pretty quick, which usually that's not the case, so I'm pretty happy about that.